What it do, what it don't, what it will, what it won't. Welcome to the Ball Hog Sports Talk. If you have never been a part of this experience that is known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk, this is where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you had to discuss it or describe it in a pop culture sort of way, this is where show me the money meets just give me the damn ball. We are in the building for another phenomenal show. This week's episode is going by the title of Just Among Friends. We put a lot into our titles. We put a lot into our show. With no further ado, this is where sports, business, and entertainment collide. So let's go. Just Among Friends. This episode is going by the title of Just Among Friends because this week we've had a lot of things come into the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. But the one that comes to mind most quickly is probably Jaden Ivey. And so we're going to discuss that, and I'll wait until we get into it to really share some more personal takes on that particular topic. But I did want to think of that whole scenario of Just Among Friends. I wanted to at the outset pay respects to my man Joe Farrar, who I call C-Flaw. Joe Farrar played linebacker at Notre Dame, lost his mother this week, and so when you think of Just Among Friends, there are these group chats. There's these conversations. And Shane Walton, who was a consensus All-American, a friend to both you and I, and we've done things on his behalf out in San Diego. My man, who was a great soccer player turned consensus All-American football player, said in that group text that he really cherishes and values that text because of that thread, because of all the wins and losses, all the life meaningful moments that we've had together. And I've got to echo in that sentiment. And I want to celebrate that we've got these spaces that we can discuss things, even something as sad as losing our mother. We can discuss it just among friends. So condolences, C-Fly, my man Joe Farrar. Condolences to you and your family. Before we get started in this show, I just wanted to make sure
my condolences as well. I didn't really know Joe, but I know who he is. I didn't have the pleasure of playing with him, but my condolences. Anyone who played with the Irish is my brother, so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, very sorry to hear it. So, but if you think about that title, Just Among Friends, and that setting, there are some things that you say in the comfort of spaces that you are just among friends, that there's protected conversation. There's an expectation that it won't be discussed outside of that circle of just among friends. There's a level of comfortability. There's an ability to take down the guardrails and really say what you need to say because you are just among friends. This particular generation, what do they call it? Generation Z, Z plus, whatever they are.
Yeah,
this generation has a different definition of just among friends. When you look up just among friends, the definition of it is essentially, right, this space where conversation, action, or setting is intimate and informal and safe, usually implying that trust is high in social pretenses. All of those social pretenses can be dropped. But this generation treats just among friends as a different sort of vibe. Just among friends for them, a lot of times can be among their social media friends. People live stream, or they go live on a platform. And they're having the same conversation that I tend to have in that group thread that is absolutely protected in terms of the sanctity and the freedom of dropping the social pretenses, the respect that we have to never leak that information. This generation treats going live on a social media platform the same way as I treat that group thread. And so here we are. And because it is a weekly storyline in sports and entertainment, a huge weekly storyline at this point, an international storyline at this point, we have to discuss it on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. But I am going to discuss it in a way that's a little nuanced and a little different because I am fortunate enough to have a meaningful relationship with the family. Having played with Jaden Ivey's father, one of the Afros, America's finest receivers on Saturdays, respect, baby. And knowing his mother, Jaden Ivey, who's the head coach at University of Notre Dame basketball program and was on Notre Dame's campus at the same time that I was, and a friend. So I'm gonna approach it in a respectful way and deal with it more nuanced, high level, less about Jaden Ivey. While we will touch on some of the things that happened and transpired over the week, more about the sentiment of the intersection between freedom of speech and brands, whether it be the league, brands, whether it be the team, Chicago Bulls, brands, whether it be deal with any professional league brand, needing to feel like they protect their value. So I wanted to say that at the outset to make sure that I made that clear. Normally we do within the show a teachable moment. And so I'm going to start off with a teachable moment here. And there are some things that when I got into finance, Wall Street, in a sales role and needing to be client facing and speaking to people, and as an attorney and needing to talk to clients, less of a flex about my background, more of an admission that I had to learn some rules of engagement. And so this professional environment taught me, whether it be law or finance, that there were certain topics to avoid. Politics, religion, deeply personal health issues, romantic lives, sensitive financial details. I'm not asking you how much money you make in one of those settings. I'm not asking you who you're dating in one of those settings. I'm not asking you what your faith is in one of those settings. And so this generation, Generation Z, I think sort of ignores that, and they treat each setting as though they're the same. They treat going live just like I'm treating this very protected group thread. And so I would say to Generation Z, just be careful when having discussions about things that are deeply personal to you amongst people who don't really have a personal connection to you. I'll start there. Now let's get into Jaden Ivey's Holy Week. The irony that this is happening during Holy Week. Holy Week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We get into the celebration Thursday. Today is considered Good Friday. If you trace this back, it literally happened during Holy Week. The fact that he is espousing his faith, his belief publicly, and that is now, I think, created this reaction that includes both the most religious zealots that you can find out there that want people, that ask people, and in some cases demand people to espouse their faith, and people who feel as though what he said, how he said, and the capacity he said it was very offensive. No other way to start it but to start it that way in terms of what happened, and then we'll get into the broader conversation beyond just Jaden, because out of respect for his mom, out of respect for his dad, out of respect for, I met the young man when he was young, very young, out of respect for him and understanding that this is way more than just about Jaden Ivey. We'll move on. But it's the Ball Sports Talk, where the managerial decisions of big finance, like the Chicago Bulls, like the NBA, go head to head and intersect with the weekly storylines of sports entertainment. And this is a weekly storyline on sports entertainment. Let's dive in. You hear this and you think what?
You know, it's amazing. And if we look at our country today and how polarizing things are, that on the one hand, he said something that makes a lot of people cringe because of the where we are in society. Like, you know, his faith tells him that Gay Pride Week is blasphemy, right? It's what his faith tells him. There's many Christians out there listening right now. And it's been a topic that has been polarizing in the Christian faith. It's like, do we accept everybody? Is one sin better than another? Is it a sin? Is it that? Whatever. The Bible tells you that it is, right? Period, point blank. I didn't write the Bible, but that's what the Bible says. We've come a long way as
depending on who's interpreting it, but I concur with what you're saying.
There can be quotes in the Bible,
right,
that would make you come to the conclusion that they think that being gay is a sin. Now, I do think there's a lot of things in the Bible that are sin that we also do. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that sins,
which he acknowledged, and I'm gonna get to that.
And
like
so
the fact that we are on that data point that he did share was interesting, but he shared a lot of things he felt were outside of his faith. Right?
And I'll let you get back in. So there's a lot of things that are there. So some people decide that that's a more major sin than other things and whatever. And I'm not sharing personal views. I'm just kind of saying, my point is, it's interesting that we are at such a crazy point in society now that on one hand, he lost his job in the NBA, where he was a lottery pick just 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
A lottery pick. The Bulls just traded for him. He should be, he should be the face of the Bulls now, as far as just the caliber of player he should be, whatever. So on one hand, he gets cut. On the other hand, his jersey sells out. And that is America. There's somebody who's out there somewhere. There's people, large groups of people out there that celebrate his bravery to speak on his faith and be public like that with his faith and stand on it, 10 toes down. And on the other side there's the how dare you. And it's interesting that that's where we are.
Yeah, and I'll go one further, because I think that his jersey selling out made me feel better about the differential treatment between, let's say, Jaden Ivey and Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
His jersey selling out meant that maybe I've got to walk back, my cynical outlook on how race plays a role in this. But truth be told, there are people that are saying, oh, man, he was cut because he's not good at basketball anymore. First of all, he had a gruesome injury last year, and he tried to come back. Some people think that he tried to come back too fast. On the 25th of March, the day before your boy's birthday, it was reported that he called the team trainer, and said, God healed my knee because it's inflammation, or his leg. His inflammation has started to subside. And so he called and said, God healed me. I'm ready to play. Take the restrictions off me. I'm ready to play. They do an MRI a day later and see the exact opposite, and they shut him down for the entire season. And so I think where you see somebody that's really steeped in his faith, while there have been so many people that have tried to say, he's having mental issues, he's having a breakdown, he needs help. I mean, faith really is saying you're believing in something that you can't see. There's a level of misunderstanding that anyone that does not have that same faith, we've got to have a misunderstanding. You can't think what I believe is sane, because I'm telling you, I believe in something that I can't see. I'm operating off of this belief that I'm going to a place that I don't know if anybody's ever been there. I'll only know when I get into whatever you believe in, the afterlife. And so if you don't believe that, at the very beginning, at the outset of our conversation, you could call me crazy. You could call me disillusioned. You could call me whatever. But we've got to agree to disagree because I believe in something that I can't see, that I can't prove, but I'm absolutely in full belief of it. And so I think his account to the trainer shows just how obvious it is that there's going to be some people that say he's air quote crazy, right? But his jersey selling out made me actually feel better about the race component of it. And then I started hearing all these people saying he's just not good at basketball anymore. I can't go down that route because fresh off an injury, he was having a phenomenal NBA career with some ups and downs as a young player before his gruesome injury. And so many players have come back from gruesome injuries to have phenomenal NBA careers, including Paul George, if you're watching how he's playing this week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's too early to tell. But the same religious community tried to make me believe that Tim Tebow out there throwing a football like a shot put did not discount him from being a quarterback. So I just want people to let's stop on the he's not good at basketball conversation because that's just not true. In his career, I think he's averaging double figures, which not a lot of people do. And so I interrupted there because his jersey sold out, but I think there's been less enthusiasm about like give him time to show he can play when we were very patient with Tim Tebow, who couldn't play football. I digress. Go ahead.
I guess I look at it again. This is where we are in America, and this is the part of it that I don't know if it bothers me or it's just crazy. It's again, he makes a statement. He didn't use a lot of. I'm not one to be able to say he use hateful words, but I've heard way worse words to be described. I felt like he's saying that we're being forced to celebrate blasphemy. So I guess blasphemy is terrible, but like he wasn't using
that as a biblical description of lifestyles outside of the faith.
Outside of the faith, he wasn't using like slurs or he didn't dig in superly offensive, right? It wasn't the first time that the LGBT plus community has heard of their lifestyle is considered to be blasphemous against the Bible. It's not the first time they heard it. Why he decided to go live and do that is the part that's interesting. But why did we decide to do a podcast? Like we feel like our opinion is something that people will find entertaining, and maybe he felt driven by his faith to speak out. And I can't talk to the man that. But then part of me says too, how many people don't even know who he is? And just because he said that, they want to go buy his jersey. It also seems kind of silly. Like if somebody says Portillo's is the best Italian beef in Chicago, I'm not going to go buy his jersey because I agree. Like it just seems so crazy. It goes back to the politics of, what's her name? The blonde chick, not Superhead, but the one that went on the one that went on Superhead. Let that go. So the one that went on the Republican National Convention, the one that's famous for terrible things.
I don't know.
Let me tell you. You should do Amber Rose.
Okay.
All of a sudden, Amber Rose
has no hair. You call her blonde. I guess
she's blonde. Yeah. You're right. She's a blonde. Blonde. I should have said bald. That would have get you better. But like here, look at Amber Rose. Amber Rose gets elevated by the Republicans, and she's spoken. I'm like, do y'all know who she is and what she's famous for? Did you even Google
go down the list of them? Candace Owen. You go down the list.
Nah, fuck that. We'll go to Amber Rose because did you even Google her? Like you're standing behind what she's saying just because she got on there, she had that conversation, and you want to act all accepting.
Started her career by being an exotic dancer, a stripper.
Exotic dancer, and she got famous by talking about her sexual escapades with Kanye. I mean, that's what really got her, whatever, and in graphic detail. Or was it 50? One of them.
No, it was Kanye.
You're right. Yeah, yep. And some of the things that they did. And like, this is the person that you guys have out there. Like, do you even Google it? And it just shows you like where we are. People, I mean, even Trump recently is talking about Bruce Springsteen and how his music sucks and she hates him. He's never been good. His album's terrible because it's just, where are we in America that this is how severe one statement can be made where derogatory slurs weren't said. You have the right to believe that. Do I think he should have shared it? None of my business whether or not he wanted to share it. If he feels that's what God has driven him to do and his faith did, and he had this conversation, share it. At the end of the day, like, again, he wasn't attacking people with
He was
slurs and
attacking the
stuff.
NBA. He said that he felt that the NBA, while a great employer and he's living his dream, was wrong for basically
Pride Month.
forcing the players to agree by celebrating Pride Month. That's what he said.
And there's a
he
lot of
said
people
that
out there
the
who
lifestyle,
believe,
when asked, he said the lifestyle itself was blasphemous, that a man having sex with a man can't produce a child. So he went into detail, but I don't think, because everything that is in a certain category is called homophobic. If you look up phobia, literally phobia, it means an extreme or irrational fear. I don't think he has an extreme irrational fear of the LGBTQA plus community. But the other part is, or aversion to something. I do think he has an aversion. Now, the reason behind his aversion for him is because of his faith. That's not saying what he said was right, but that's why he said what he said. But anything that is cast out there as homophobic, whether it's because of your faith or some other reason, because you're a hateful, spiteful person that could do harm to someone, is considered toxic. I think there's a difference. Somebody out there that has such a true fear and hate for the LGBTQA plus community that then tries to act upon that and do something to that community is dangerous. Yeah. What I would say, based on my own experience, and I'm going to get to that because you said, why would he go live? Why did we go live on our podcast? I, too, had to deal with at least an exchange that was like, wait a minute, I didn't mean it that way. What I would say is or what I would expect or assume that would be said as a response and rebuttal is, you don't say anything that could be taken by one of those hurtful, harmful people and interpret it in a way for them to go now act and do something crazy against someone in the community. That's probably what they would say. Like, if Jaden Ivey, an NBA player, has issue with Pride Week, some crazy zealot over here who's going to just go, randomly pick out someone in the community and hurt them has a reason to do it. That's probably what it is, right? And you can understand both. You can understand both because you don't want to give people the grounds to do it. I don't know if he was attacking the community. He was attacking more of the NBA. And yet the two are sort of together right now.
There's a lot of people that have been mad about the NBA stance. They've probably been, out of all the major leagues, they've been the most outspoken about social issues. So Black Lives Matter, Stop Hate, all the different things. And there's a lot of people put off by that, saying like, we should be watching the basketball. We shouldn't be having social commentary and doing whatever and making
shut up and dribble.
Shut up and dribble.
Came from that response. Yep.
Yeah, and do whatever. And so, you're in a situation here where it's interesting. If you feel that the freedom of speech to support Black Lives Matter, Stop Hate is something you're going to want to say, it's almost like you have to open the door up for all comments that are again, he wasn't using slurs. He wasn't saying a lot of things that were whatever. I'm not saying agree, disagree, whatever what he's saying. It's his opinion. I'm just saying he had the conversation in an intellectually stimulating way from a standpoint of, hey, like, we're being forced to do things. And one thing that I'll say is I'm very, in some ways, I'm very liberal. Like, I respect everyone's right to do however they want to go do. Where I do draw the line, and I will say, is when I'm being forced to participate, right? So, for instance, I have every every respect for anyone who decided that they needed to protest and take a knee during the anthem, but don't force somebody else to do it. Don't shame somebody else to do it if they don't feel like, if that's not in their heart. Have your opinion, and they have their opinion. And I think when you try to force people to participate in what your social beliefs are, I think that's where I draw the line. And a lot of people are, I don't want to go too far, but like, a lot of corporations are encouraging people or even forcing people to put their pronouns in their signature.
Right.
I don't think that's fair. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to have that conversation about my business. I don't want to talk about my beliefs. Whether I support it or not is irrelevant. I don't want to mix the two. So to tell me I have to mix the two, that's too much. I feel like that's too much. It's something to say that you have to support this, you have to support that. People are making it now
You think
illegal.
the Bulls were right? You're a Chicago man. Do you think the Bulls were right for letting him go?
No, unless they think he couldn't play basketball. But I think that they probably didn't like the way his injury was going and use this as an excuse to get rid of him. If he was playing, if his name was D Rose, he wouldn't have got released.
Well, he said Ed Edwards made some, and his comments were a lot more derogatory in terms of the language that he chose. He's like, the NBA is hypocritical in how they respond. So I think, in a way, all those that say, well, if he could play basketball, you'd be accepted. But we're not dealing with the issue. There's freedom of speech on your platform. It's on live. Right? Does that allow you? Obviously it exists, and he was able to say it.
Would they cut Luka for that?
I don't know.
Would they cut? No, you know. Would they cut the Joker for that?
I think that there are certain communities that
Would they cut the chef in San Francisco? Would they cut the chef? No, not even maybe. No, not even maybe.
Kyrie Irving lost his Nike deal because he reposted something that was anti-Semitic
and hooped that same season.
But
and hooped the same year.
But I'm making the parallel that Nike cut him. That whole signature line is no longer exists. Ja Morant, who was the heir apparent and supposed to take the baton and run with it, he dropped the baton by his own ignorance. But gun signs and acting like he's a rapper was a lot less offensive. And Ja Morant still has a shoe line.
And he still hoops. He's still in this NBA. He has a job today. He has a place. When he gets up this morning, he got to be at work.
Look, the reason
Ivy's knee had been healed and everything was doing everything. They found this is out. These are the grimiest people in the world. Let's just call it the grimiest people on earth. That are definitely not like, these people are not the ones who are like, hey, we need to support the LGBTQ plus community. The owners don't give a fuck. They're the worst. They're our most outrageous, offensive, hateful people in a large part that you're going to be around. They are. They are. Look what they're doing at the Clippers and stuff. All these type of people. They're not these great people. These not these philanthropists out here. These are money hungry people doing whatever. So I refuse to believe that they really care what he had to say. Yeah. Half of them probably agree. They don't care, but they just felt like, hey, he's hurt. We can call this for cause. We can cut him. We can save salary cap. Now's our chance. Cut him.
He's still gonna get paid his $10 million. So
he's gonna lose something.
He lost a lot. Yeah, he lost a lot already.
They don't care. They don't care.
I just would say this for the same people who, when you hear it, you feel compelled to speak up on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community. I respect that. We got to also give enough understanding to respect that it seems as though I've never asked, I don't know him well enough in adulthood. I met this young man one time when he was a kid, but it seems as though he is newer in accepting and embracing his faith. There's a call to evangelize in that faith. And so he has been known to allegedly call out reporters, call out teammates. He's evangelizing. I think that when you are newer in your faith and you are interpreting the scripture in ways that shows that you are newer to accepting the faith, you're going to be a little more of a enthusiast in terms of doing the things that you think the scripture calls you to do, including evangelize. And so, in a way, I wish he would have said it just among friends, hence the title of the show. But he felt as though, because in Generation Z, hitting live and speaking to the audience that goes well beyond friends was his version of me being in that group chat. And that's just something that I'm not going to understand because I'm 49 and counting. But
you in that 50th lap.
50th lap, baby.
That checker flag.
But that is what it is. I'll say this, and we'll end it here, man. I made a comment in 2021 about Carl Nassib. At the time, he was the first NFL player ever to come out as gay. First active NFL player to come out as gay. And we talked about on the show, and I made a statement essentially is like, man, but who cares? You know, whoever you love, whatever you're doing in your personal life, who cares? Like, and I tried to celebrate that we're at a point where you being in your relationship doesn't matter. In the locker room, it doesn't matter. And I was railroaded for it. There were people that never had a conversation with me. I was recently elected. There was a person, they decided to talk to everybody but me about my statement. Even at one point, tried to get me removed from being a councilman because I said, yo, man, we're at the point now, who cares? Love who you love. Now, for those who actually had a conversation with me and had me understand why using the platform, right, this platform as podcast, but in my role as a councilman, why that was potentially dangerous, thank you. It helped me understand that, you know, there's a young community out there that feel ostracized by being, you know, a young sub-community in the LGBTQ community, right, that feels ostracized. And they pointed to me the stats about how, you know, this community was very vulnerable in terms of being more susceptible to, you know, suicidal ideologies and acting upon those, and how there's so many different dangers. And so that community needs to know that there are people that are advocating. Salute. I understood it a little bit better. But truth be told, people don't know that just don't know. And so to see Jaden Ivey lose his current job with the Chicago Bulls and now to be the poster child for homophobia, I just hope that someone has a conversation with him and lets him have a little bit of grace at the young age of maybe he's 24, 25 years old. Maybe. I just hope they give him a little bit of grace and understanding, because I don't think it came from a malicious place. And while he was addressing the NBA and their celebration and their embrace of Pride Week, I didn't hear from him that he wanted to go do something malicious and violent towards anybody in the community. I heard him as a somewhat newly found Christian embracing his faith in a way that might have been irresponsible. But as a young person, not understanding that when you go live, it's not a group thread. It's not just among friends. The freedom of speech does not allow you to do things that could, what we used to say in the NFL, tarnish the shield. The NBA has its own brand with its own value. And they understand that they've got to disassociate themselves quickly. I hope we can learn from this.
They don't. That's not why they did it. They did it because they felt he had a diminished capacity. And again, I can go person by person in the NBA and say, would he or would he not get cut by that? We could do that through the whole roster. Would this person get cut for that? Would this person not get cut for that? And I don't think they would. So I will say this in my final remarks is, he's a young man coming to his own. We all know how we were when we were in college in our 20s. When you become a man, when you start to change, you start to see different things, and you're starting to understand like how the world works. And it's heavy. Like there's a lot of dirt. Like, I look at the companies I work for and the public persona face that I have to do every day as a salesperson and have a conversation about my organization. But then I know the dirt behind it. Like, oh man, if they knew how this was, how it really was. Or, I sold software for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised that when you go see some companies out there, and I could tell you like horror stories about their security or their network or how things don't work, and you can't understand how this company operates so successfully, and they're so screwed up in so many different ways, things that look like that. And when you are a guy that's given a lot of money, when you're given is take that the wrong way. When you've earned a lot of money, when you're a young age, when you're in that transition period. When I was 24, 25 years old, I'm wearing suits every day.
In fact, he just turned 24. I had to look it up. He just turned 24 in February.
He just turned 24. He's probably Aquarius, which lets you know we're overthinkers, right? If he's an Aquarius, that's how we do it. But at the end of the day, you're 24 years old. You've got millions of dollars. You've got all these different things that aren't that take the guardrails kind of off of how you are. And you're seeing a lot of stuff and you're interpreting it. And that's heavy for some people. And it's heavy for some people to remain silent. Big city guy, man, Chicago, you learn to mind your own business, man. There's a lot of danger out there if you don't mind your business. Right. And face front, you see something crazy going on. Sometimes you just got to mind your business. He's coming up and he's seeing all this stuff and he's building a relationship with God. And he's like, how can you tell me that? How can I be building this relationship and ignore this and not say this? What I heard in the few clips I heard him say, again, not agreeing, disagreeing, but he was saying, why am I being forced to celebrate this if I don't believe in it? Right.
Right.
And you have a right not to believe in something. Like, what I mean? I believe in that all the time. I have arguments with people who have different political views than me all the time. And I want to hear why they believe in what they're doing. They have every right. And we remain friends at the end of the conversation because you believe in what you believe in, right?
Right.
And so I can't fault the man for feeling like overcome with the stuff. To your point, the format seemed weird. People start questioning his mental health. You had said that he's been on previous.
I don't think the format seems weird. I think the format seems consistent with Generation Z. He just turned 24. But these are the formats that they use.
Yeah, you just randomly go live while you're driving down the street.
Yeah, probably. They got streamers. Literally, there are cameras watching everything you do and say, and they call that normal. That's Generation Z.
Yeah.
The Generation Z will get online and watch another person play video games. There are people that have gotten sizable checks because they have created something magnetic where other people watch them play video games. We're not going to understand that, which is not, but I digress. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, people are going through and then they start questioning like what's going on with him? Is he crazy? Does he have mental health issues? You mentioned to me that he had admitted on a podcast. I'm saying this out here because I don't put nobody's business out there, but that he may have been abused as a child, right? In a certain way.
An older podcast, but he dealt with some stuff that led him to therapy and then led him to finding his faith. He did say that publicly.
So, and the reason why I mentioned that is that does that weigh in, on how he believes? I haven't, had to deal with what he dealt with there, but who's to say that doesn't, he has to come to grips with what happened to him as a child, which is scarring. Right. Every expert will tell you it's going to scar you for life and change you for life. And then you go to your faith, and then you're probably making a connection between the two things, right? And now you feel compelled to speak out. And now you're feeling, maybe in his mind, he feels like the people who did whatever to me, maybe I don't know the details, but I'm speculating here. Maybe there's a correlation between what happened to him and what he's seeing, and now he's feeling like he has to celebrate this, and he's having a hard time with that, and he's speaking out. So it's unfortunate that your opinion can get you to lose your livelihood, but that's where we are as the culture. It's crazy that one opinion can get someone to fall in love with you so much just for agreeing with it that they go to buy your jersey. It's crazy that the league that has a team that cut him would actually sell his jersey after you felt like he couldn't represent your team, but you'll take the money for his jersey. There's a lot of craziness when you start to think about that. Like his jersey sales should stop right away if you don't support him. But you were able to sell the jersey. Well, we still have the jerseys. We might as well sell them out. Somebody wants to buy them. Like there's so many mixed messages that go on with this that it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there would. Yeah, I mean,
luckily the man got a lot of money when he first started out. He's going to have some good bread. He's got seems like two good parents. I know Neil a little bit. I don't know Javen, but you know, and he'll bounce back from this. He's not.
I just hope that the same sentiment, we would be off of our rocker if someone was penalized for being or coming out. If Carl Nassib, as the first active NFL player to come out the closet, was cut the very next day, imagine what would happen. And so just be careful that we're treating people different, because what Jaden Ivey has done is he is self-identified as an evangelist, as a Christian, and he's gone all in to the point where it has cost him his livelihood. I just think we've got to be careful in how we treat young people. He's 24, and those who automatically call it he's got mental issues. We all have mental issues. Let's say that. We all need some form of therapy. Let's say that. But to call him cuckoo because of his faith, and no matter how extreme you believe that faith is no different than calling someone cuckoo or crazy because of them identifying in any particular community. And let's keep it real, man. We treat different groups differently. When people come out with pro-Palestine texts and messages, there's a real big issue with that, and not the same when they're pro-Israel. And I get it. It's a false equivalency. I understand, but there are people that believe what they believe for whatever they believe. As long as you don't take that belief and go hurt somebody, encourage other people to hurt somebody, try to ruin their career, ruin their livelihood, just make sure that there's some guardrails behind your beliefs. And you said that he has two great parents. Look, I'm Notre Dame today, man. I got on a Notre Dame hat because just among friends,
that bottle looks real empty.
It's real empty, man.
You just bought that this morning?
It's Lent, man. End of Lent.
Oh, that's it. You had to drink your way through 40 days of drinking.
I'm not listening to you, man. So you about to judge. You about to judge me and my consumption.
So what, you gonna cut me? Are you gonna cut me? Yeah. Without pay?
But I would say this, man, like people that are making this leap, because not only did he say he was upset with the NBA for celebrating Pride Week, he also questioned Catholicism as an entire religion. Now there are people who are taking that and saying that Jaden Ivey is the head coach of the Notre Dame women's basketball team, could be at jeopardy with her career. Her career could be in peril because her 24-year-old grown man son with his own beliefs made that statement. When are we going too far? And so because of my celebration of two friends, a mother and a father that's had to deal with this all week and deal with it from a place that the whole world is judging. Everybody's talking.
Somebody's going to judge her if she doesn't distance herself from those comments. That it's too much. Like the world is too much. Right
and look, if there's ever a decision to be made, you're not going to force me into distancing myself from my child.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the comments, she shouldn't have to even address those comments. It just is what it is. So I'll leave it there, man. In terms of being just among friends, our generation treats it different. Among friends, you can talk about all of those things that are out of bounds in your sales meetings. You can talk about religion. You can talk about politics. You can talk about whatever you want. relationship, sexuality. You can call people anything that you want just among friends. You can't do it publicly. And so I think that's the lesson there. And I wish nothing but the best for the young man because he's 24. Anyone harmed and offended by his issues, I wish the best for them too. And that's the point where I hope we can be more there than other places in this country because everything is so politicized. It's so extreme that we never have a conversation. So I'll leave it there. That's church. Any final words on that before we move on, man?
Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday. That's why I had to start with Holy Week. That was a Holy Week conversation. And things really got moving quick in Holy Week with that conversation. We talked about Tiger Woods last week. And it was about golf. It was about him and his business ventures with this, whatever that is, virtual golf, TGL, whatever that is. And then later that night,
that day,
it was shortly after our show.
It's 2 o'clock.
Tiger Woods went Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods goes far on DUI. And just among friends, I'll say this. The fact that the mugshot, everybody's mugshot goes viral, and his just looked really, really bad. You could tell his face was swollen. To me, his face looked swollen. You could tell, the loss of hair. They don't let you wear a Nike hat.
They make you wipe that Beijing off too. They want to make sure.
And so, but that was fine with me because everyone undergoes that. Now that all of these body cam videos are starting to surface, the boys in blue got something like, why do we get access to that?
Freedom of information, same thing.
Great. The FOIA Act is real, but freedom of information, cool. But man, like some of this stuff, the stuff that we want to see, when there's a controversial arrest, when there is some sort of brutality question, we can never find it.
Takes a little longer, but you always get it.
A little longer. There's some things that have never reached the public sphere.
What?
There's a lot of things that have never reached the public sphere.
Body cams have come out. You can always find a body cam. It just takes somebody got to sue for it.
Somebody has to sue for it, and when they sue for it, oftentimes there has been questions of whether or not the body cam was active, whether or not it was functional. There have been questions of chain of command, whether it's been redacted, has been edited whatsoever. This came out less than a week after the incident. I'm not saying that Tiger should have been absolved from the DUI. Tiger just passed the breathalyzer and refused the urinalysis. And it looks like at one point, one of the body cams shows him walking down. It's like, hey, we need you to stay here. And it sounds like he says, I was just on the phone with the president. It just looks like there's also a smear campaign for Tiger because some of that stuff, man, we don't need to see that. We don't need to see all of it.
He called Uncle
Some of
Donald.
it needs to be just among friends. Boys in blue, keep some of that stuff to yourself. Tiger Woods had an unfortunate run-in with the police and an accident. Fortunately, thankfully, and dare I say, thank God. Am I allowed to say that? I know after the last topic, people, thank God. Holy Week, I should be able to say, thank God that no one was hurt.
It depends on what's your name forgot.
Yeah.
Hey, that is that. Hey, I will say that's a flex. As much as I don't like Trump, but that's a flex. Hey, what you talking about? My bad. I'm talking to the president. My bad.
Talking to the president. I was just talking to the president.
I just flipped a car. I'm drunk. I'm high as hell. I just flipped a car before y'all, cuffed me.
He was high on pain pills, so it seems. And so I think that what Tiger allegedly is considering going into a rehab facility internationally. Why? Because if Tiger's there, it's not going to be just among friends. Everything he does will be captured. It's going to be shared with the public. So he has to go internationally. People saying, why doesn't he have a driver? Again, because everything he does.
I was high. That's why I don't have a driver.
But he likes to stay private. He wants to keep it just among friends. That idea that he wants a life that is not publicized is probably the reason he doesn't have a driver. but not having a driver is the reason we're talking about it. So I hope Tiger Woods gets the help that he needs. And Brett Favre got help. He talked about his addiction to pain pills. There's an entire opioid epidemic that happened. So Tiger Woods is not alone, but Tiger Woods needs to stay from behind that wheel when indeed he has ingested pain pills. I'll give you last word on it, man. Tiger Woods, you look bad, brother. You look really, really bad. I hope he does get the help that he needs. But I'm really sick of us exploiting people like Tiger in terms of our consumption.
I'm glad nobody was hurt. He just announced his comeback. His back probably hurt from he swung the night before on that thing. He probably not ready to come back if you can't stay off of him. So he got high. I'm glad no one was hurt. He's gonna go and he's gonna.
And then I got high. And then I got high. I think that's a song.
And then I got high. Da 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 da. Anyway, so I'm glad nobody was hurt. I guess that's at the end of the day, nobody was
absolutely
hurt. And it's not a tragic story from that standpoint. Someone could have been hurt, but no one was hurt. So
he hit at what looked like a landscape trailer, and then the car was flipped, and it looked bad.
It had to look bad. I mean, I've been in many car accidents in my life. I never almost flipped a car. I feel like that's gotta feel terrible. He coming out, so he should claim concussion. He needed a bet. He shouldn't have called Trump. He should have called an attorney, and they could.
He just said the president. It could have been the president of the
AAA,
HOA.
Yeah,
it could have been on homeowners association. He just said the president. He said the president of AAA.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Should have been Hair Club. Now am I a member? But yeah, that's a bad joke. Tiger, you're gonna be all good. I shouldn't be joking right now about it because it is a serious situation, but it just shows how we treat different celebrities different, man. Tiger, I want him to just go get the help that he needs. Puka Nacua did get the help that he needs. He has reportedly voluntarily put himself in a rehab facility. He had a New Year's incident that ended, I think it was drunkenness, ended in biting a woman. Puka Nacua is also...
You can't even bite a woman anymore without going to rehab?
Just among friends you can. But Puka Nacua...
Lisa!
People out here biting each other.
You can't bite people no more.
Puka Nacua is also on the hot seat because of his anti-Semitic trope that he did during the Aiden Ross stream when they said, in your next touchdown, do this. And he did it. But it just goes to show, man, like this generation, Generation Z plus, just among friends, you're on a stream. So what was you just emulating what Aiden Ross encouraged you to do becomes this anti-Semitic. Now you are the flag bearer for being anti-Semitic. Same with Kyrie. Kyrie, like, he retweeted something and he became the flag bearer for being anti-Semitic. And so we take things and we just really run with it when you do it in such a public space. And so the streaming, the going live, the don't retweet anything. I think that's really the lesson here too, is that treat it like you ain't saying nothing until you are indeed just among friends. Because if not, people are going to use it to extrapolate their own messages from what you did. The retweet, the impromptu moment where he does what Aiden Ross tells him to do. Like, now all of a sudden he's anti-Semitic. So I say that we really need to learn JAF, J-A-F, just among friends. We need to learn what it means, embrace it, and live by it. But shout out to Puka Nacua for going to get the help that he needs. Sounds like it is real. Your man TJ Houshmandzadeh, I might have butchered his last name. Houshmandzadeh.
Houshmandzadeh.
I say your boy because I know you have know him personally, but he came out and said that he got a call from Puka, and he voluntarily went into this rehab. So shout out to those who are seeking the help that they need. I hope Tiger does as well. I did have to get into this March Madness because Duke had it sold up. They were going to the Final Four. And they got hit with a draw for UConn, hit a big shot, but they hit a big shot after a costly turnover by one of the Boozer twins. I tend to hate everything Duke. I felt sorry for Duke. I felt sorry for the Boozer twins. One of them had a shiner after the game.
Not the one, not the right one. The other
not
one.
the right one. He needed a shiner after the game. But UConn hit a big shot. And as soon as they hit the big shot, Danny Hurley started doing the wrestling walk. I don't even know I forgot the characters. I used to know. But he started doing basically the Stone Cold walk.
And then he got forehead to forehead with that ref. You see him like these?
Yeah, that dude is a caricature, man. The Final Four is set. We've got the European influx of the Illinois team. Should be a good one. Who you picking and why, man? Who you got winning?
In the Illinois game?
No, the whole thing. You got UConn playing Illinois, so you could go that one first. You got Michigan playing Arizona. Who you got winning men's Final Four?
I got Illinois winning, and I got Arizona winning.
I'm going UConn, man. When you make a shot like that, that's destiny.
I would like to see Illinois versus Michigan, just so the Big Ten can just take over all sports and everybody from the SEC can shut the fuck up.
STFU. I'm going UConn winning, and I gotta go with Michigan. I'm going UConn, Michigan in the championship. And for the Final Four, the women's, that starts tonight. You got South Carolina playing UConn, which will be a great one. UConn is yet to lose. I saw an April Fool's joke that says Gina Ariema was going to retire after this year. I got excited. That's how you know I'm a UConn hater, boy. Go Irish. They whooped up on Notre Dame, but Hannah Hidalgo played very well. So you got South Carolina as the first game tonight playing UConn, and then you got Texas versus UCLA. First time since I think 2016 that all number one seeds in the Final Four for women's. Who you got? South Carolina, UConn?
UConn.
I'm picking South Carolina. It's hard to go unblemished this far, man. So if anybody could do it, Don Staley could do it. Come on, Don, please beat UConn. And then Texas versus UCLA. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Tejas.
I'm going Texas too, man. Texas just looks like they got something special. UCLA figured out a way and continues to win. But I'm going Texas versus South Carolina in the championship. What a great Final Four. I like the fact that they're finally starting to make some of this money through NIL because the amounts of money being poured into this weekend is crazy. Shout out to the Final Four. Shout out to the name, image, and likeness that is in response to all the money that will change hands. And that brings us to this. The transfer portal is booming, bro. I shared something with you to talk about Iowa State and Iowa women's basketball. How many women are in the transfer portal? I'll also share that during this Final Four, while we watched UConn drop the draw 4 on Duke, boom, and steal their spot. I hate that, boy. You got that one card and somebody hits you with the draw 4. That's
the big joker.
I got this. You know what I mean? Take all you. I'll come across this table and UConn hit him with that. This is like the most watched ever. It's like we supposed to be focused on that. Not so fast, my friend. The transfer portal is booming. It doesn't even open for the men's. It opens April 7th, which is the day after their national championship game. And for the women's, it opens April 6th, which is the day after their national championship game. It lasts 15 days. But so many people have gone public. They did not keep it just among friends. They've gone public and made their intentions known that they will enter into the transfer portal. And bruh, I mean, some of these people, you got the Iowa freshmen who had a great year. Iowa's the number 2 seed, and they're losing their whole team. It's a mass exodus. Ain't no coaching change. it's to the point where it don't make sense to me anymore, man. And I talked about that group thread amongst my Notre Dame brethren, right? One in which includes Jaden Ivey's dad. It's a special place. There's a sanctity there in those group threads. I'm afraid these kids will never have those group threads. How can they have the meaningful relationship? Our best friends all came from college. I got one best friend from high school, but other than that, I'm picking up the phone to call someone I met in college when I need something. Employment. Where if I need some money, man, if I'm calling you later, dog, I need some money. I'm calling somebody from college. Don't send me the voicemail.
Well, I'll have you blocked so that it just sends you by itself automatically.
On that note, but I'm afraid these young student athletes will never have a group of friends that they can keep things just among friends because they're moving too quick. I know I'm old school. I sound like I'm 98 years old, not 49 years old by saying this. And I've respected the freedom that these young student athletes have. I honor the fact that they can make some of the money, just a slice of what these institutions are making. But I'm in fear that there has to be some regulation. I hate using that word because it sounds too lawyerly, but there's got to be a balance. And I'm not certain that we're anywhere close to that balance.
Mm-hmm.
I throw it to you, man. The transfer portal is booming, and the season ain't even over yet. What are we doing?
I don't know. This whole thing with Iowa State is amazing to me. You don't know what happened. I mean, they had an earlier exit. They thought they were going to ride Audie Crooks all the way to the Final Four. They didn't.
I hope she goes to Notre Dame, by the way.
Is that on
shameless plug?
Is that on the table?
I think so. I think she's number 2 leading scorer in the country, or she might have been the leading scorer in the country.
Probably leading scorer, I would say.
If it's not on the table, I might as well tank the well too, since we just among friends, while we share this publicly and say, Audie Crooks, look right here in this camera, go to Notre Dame. But go ahead.
So I don't know, man. It's where we are. Could you imagine me in the coach right now at Iowa State and you 10 people left? Who do you have? Like, what do you just go to? Like, what do you do? What happened? Like, what happened? But it's just
something must be in the water in the whole state of Iowa, because the 2 programs that both had great seasons. I just don't understand why you leave. And again, we started this show talking about, I don't understand a lot of things these young people do. Why go live and say what you are feeling in your heart? Why even participate on a stream? Because I think just being human, you're going to do something that you don't want the whole world to see. Why? I don't understand. But truth be told, there is a balance. The decision makers, the coaches, the athletic directors, and some of the people that are writing the checks for these NIL deals happen to be comfortably from my generation. So there has to be some balance. And I don't know if we're anywhere close to it. I'll give you last word, man. What say you? I like that. Wagler and the Iviches. They got a whole swath, I think 5 players from Eastern Europe. And then the Wagler freshman kid is crazy. He's talking about Illinois. I like how you put that. Thank you, Mark. What's up, Mark? We ask everybody like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. Thanks for the comment, Mark. But
that's a topic though. I'm gonna say that's a topic right there that he's touching on. These Eastern Europeans are coming over. They're replacing brothers, man. If you
be careful, we ain't just among friends. It sounds like you just typecasted a whole swath of people and made them like the target for concern. Be careful.
All I have to say is when you watch the game, it's not a lot of brothers out there anymore.
It's hard to pronounce some of them names, is all you saying.
All I'm saying is when you watch U of I, there's one beige kid, and then there's one the other way. And I have beige children, so I can say it. But there's one beige kid out there.
I don't know if it allows you to say it.
I can say it. I made some beige kids too. But it ain't no brothers on U of I. It wasn't no brothers on Nebraska. It's you watch and see. Chump done got DEI up out of there but we don't mess around
They
starting
from
a
the
movement.
Balkans, baby.
The Balkans, they over there. They went out there and said, "We're gonna get us a Luca. We're gonna go get us a Joker. We're gonna find something, but we're gonna watch." They get rid of brothers, man. We're going back to the back of the 1950s basketball. I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
what's going on. I don't know what's going on, man. Hey, man. Hey, maybe we need to start taking some of these kids to Europe to raise them to train them to hoop because it's starting to get scary, dog.
Getting real in the field, baby. But that transfer portal, man, like is interesting. I think that we at some point have to come to terms with the fact that the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, in both name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal, had a chance to think deeply about how to do it, and they punted on making sure it was done in a way that both helped young student athletes have options and protected universities from anarchy. And right now, the universities, and I'm never the one to side with the universities, that large part of their endowment is a strong correlation between performance for the revenue generating sports. So they've eaten, or no, the young people say ate. They ate. They ate off these student athletes for generations. So I'm rarely trying to defend the institutions and their athletic departments. But when it comes to this transfer portal thing and the anarchy that we now have, somebody's got to step in and be the air quote adult. Because if not, every year you've got to re-recruit your roster. Dawn Staley said it. She was like, if we don't have enough money to afford somebody, we won't even get in the conversation. So there's a thin line between name, image, and likeness, revenue sharing, and the transfer portal right now that has us in this anarchy. And so I think the NCAA could have done a little more to make sure that we didn't get here. And we got here so quickly. So I'll leave it there. That's my last word on it, man. And I'm not saying it in I'm saying it publicly and not just among friends, because I'm hoping that we can come to some terms. The relationships that I have with my brethren, who I went out on that field with, who I went on to the practice field with, who I went into study hall with, who I went into classes with, who I went home with on breaks, that is the lifeline of my friendships. That's why I have that group thread that we use. And I fear that these young people, with all the other things that they're dealing with, the mental health crisis that we see right before us, won't have that, and it's going to lead to even bigger problems. I'll give you last word on it, man. We're sprinting home now. I'll give you last word.
I think you said it all. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. NBA award management. Luka came up limp last night, which looks like a pretty serious strain to a hamstring, likely to be out for the remainder of the season and hold him for the playoffs. But playoffs? Yeah, playoffs. But that means Luka is not eligible for any of the postseason awards because he is 64 games in, one short of the 65 minimum requirement. Ant-Man is not eligible. These are two people, more Luka than Ant-Man. If you talk about MVP, you're talking Wemby, SGA, Joker, and Luka. And then probably the fifth is Ant-Man. 4 and 5 are no longer eligible because they won't make the 65-game cutoff. Ant-Man just doesn't have enough games. He's played 59. He can't make 65. And Luka, because of the hamstring injury last night, probably won't make 65. Are we seeing the realization that what was offered in good nature is backfiring?
As far as the 65,
65 game minimum to be a candidate to even qualify for the postseason superlatives, like MVP, like six man.
well, if you think that's 65 is kind of a high number. You get 82 games in the season. You
Yep.
telling me you can't?
Let me do back of the envelope math. Meaning I'm going to my phone.
18 into 82 carry the 6 divided by
79.2%.
I mean, passing grade is 70. I don't know. That's a full season, but I get it. I get it. It's a shame that they had to have a minimum there to count it. It should just stand on its own. That should be part of your criteria as a voter as to whether or not they played enough, not a disqualifier. But I get it. Could you be the
That
best?
would be 57 games if you went 70%. It's 57.4.
75. I don't know. 65 seems like a lot of games. I feel like you play most of the season. You get a couple twisted ankles in there. You know what? I understand with load management why that becomes an issue, but like if a guy twists an ankle and missed 2 weeks.
But that was the challenge. They couldn't distinguish a valid injury from one that is offered as a reason why someone is not playing, but it's really a load management strategy.
And that's the problem I have because they play 3 or 4 games a week, right? What real injury takes less than 2 weeks?
75% would be 61.5 games. Let's call it 62 games.
Yeah. So that's the
problem. That would help Luka. It wouldn't help Ant-Man.
It wouldn't help Ant-Man. How many he play, Ant-Man?
57.
Yeah, I feel like you legitimately get an injury, any injury at all, right? A strained muscle or whatever, you're at 2 weeks, right? That could be 8 games. I mean, this is you flying high in the air up and down the court. That happens to you. It takes you 3 weeks. Now you're at due to now it's 12. I mean, before you know it, you're 65. Well, I played fantastic otherwise. You know what I'm saying? I was a killer. I don't know.
I don't know, bro, but you think about 2 of the top 5 players that you would probably consider for the MVP are now ineligible. So I think load management concerns and addressing that has now put us in this new reality that it's going to impact awards.
The fact that you still think of them as the best in the NBA, despite the fact they missed the games, lets you know that really the criteria is off. Because you wouldn't think Kawhi Leonard in a lot of his seasons where he missed half, you don't think of him as that because he missed half the season and he's rusty because he missed half the season. He doesn't play that well. Or you look at Joel Embiid sometime. I mean, Joel Embiid just played as many as he missed. They finally found him play 65 games. They had to give him the MVP real quick just to get it on the books because they knew he was never going to play 65 games again. It just seems interesting that like it should. When I was in high school, we had a running back, famous Evanston running back, Ellis Bishop. He played in like 4 or 5 games. I think we had 5 games. We had 9. He finished number 2 in the state for player of the year because he was such a goon, right? Mm-hmm. Like he was eligible. He didn't win because he didn't play the full 9 games. But the fact of the matter, he finished number 2 with just 5 games because of how well he did in those 5 games. So let the factor, you start looking at the points. All right, well, look, if points are your criteria and stats, if you can still compete statistically and miss more games, like why make it a double whammy? You know what I'm saying? It's already going to be a whammy. If you look at Ant-Man's stats.
Well, I think it's per game though. So some of the per game stats aren't impacted because per game you play, but
so like you're saying you can't be scoring tight. You can't win the scoring championship.
Yeah, it's average. It's average per game.
Is that what it's average, not total for scoring champion? It's average?
Yeah, it's average per game. Yeah.
They should switch it to total then.
Yeah. I mean, that would make people pay more.
Yeah, the rushing title's not average. In football, the rushing title's not average. The passing title's not average. The touchdown share, nothing is average in the NFL. It's total. You miss a game, you miss yards. You didn't get the yards. Average has no place for me. It's all total.
All time, right? Like when we are comparing, dare I go down this path? I'm not. I'm going to say it. When we're comparing the greats, when we look at all-time scoring, that is where not playing as many games comes to haunt you, but not for the annual awards because it's per game.
I don't see any justification why you could ever say average, honestly. To me, how is average total? So if you didn't play, then you didn't score. That's what happens. You can just say average.
You might be coming up with the solution that we need. Man.
Because now you said, okay, so let's say that you're up for the scoring title. Like you ever play fantasy football and you had one player left and you're so scared? Because one time I lost a championship because Brett Favre had -2 points and I lost by a point in the championship. and fantasy, and that haunts me forever. I think it was a playoff because I think it was in the league that I played with you back when Emmett ran the league. But the problem was, I'm like, man, would I have been better off just sitting my quarterback? I already have it won. It's locked up. He's the last game of the season, and I got to sit him. So what I'm saying is, okay, so now you got the scoring title locked up unless you don't score enough today. So you just sit and don't play? That's not a solution.
You might be on to something, man, but the NBA definitely is not. We have a problem. You know who doesn't have a problem? It's Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got paid again. Kirk Cousins. And this deal that he signed was a 5-year deal. Let's be clear. He won't make it to the 5th year, but the first year is going to guarantee him $20 million or so. Kirk Cousins got paid by the Raiders again. And just among friends, let me just say this. Let me hold some, cuz.
Hold some.
Kirk Cousins got paid again. This is going to go down as a trivia question that everyone is going to get wrong. Jeopardy, you heard it first. You can absolutely put this in some trivia and will win that Kirk Cousins is top 3 all time, cumulatively, in terms of money made playing the game of football. There's no way you would put him in the top 3. No absolute way you would put him in the top 3. And indeed, he is top 3 all time. Money made from that game.
Wasn't even the first quarterback picked on his team in the same draft.
No, he was not. He was not. Kirk Cousins went with RG3, right?
Yeah. They picked him up just in case.
Just in case.
7 times the career RG3 hit.
Let me see this number. Because after the $20 million that he makes this year, Kirk Cousins will eclipse Tom Brady. Career earnings. You've got Matt Stafford at $408.3 million. Tom Brady at $333 million. Kirk Cousins $321.7 million. The guaranteed $20 million this year means that Kirk Cousins, all said and done, will be $341.7 million of total revenue earned or total earnings in his career. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. The Raiders have now signed him. Chances are they signed him to make sure that Fernando Mendoza can transition his way into the NFL. And just among friends, man, it's just even we do things differently, man. I didn't bring this up. Certain topics are taboo, but you can say certain things. You can say the N-word ad nauseum and not be canceled. And I just think we treat different things differently, and it's just interesting in this country. But Jamarcus Cousins come to mind. The Raiders didn't have a plan for him. They didn't. But they have a plan for Fernando Mendoza. But shout out to Kirk Cousins. He got paid again. I ain't gonna hate on nobody's bread. Shout out Kirk Cousins, who will go down after this year as the second on the all-time list of all-time earnings. Shout out, man. Get him, cuz. Let's go home with this, man. Ball Hawk Spotlight moment. Pat Bev in his infinite wisdom on, I don't know if it's his podcast, but he basically said that James Harden, in his opinion, is a better 2 guard than Dwayne Wade. And so we had to go to the stats. And let me just say this. I think he's crazy as a Miami Heat enthusiast, as someone who has said these words emphatically. Wade County. I'm Dwayne Wade all day. Pat Bev ain't that crazy if you look at it. All right. Dwayne Wade had 1 scoring title in his career that was average per game. James Harden has had 3. All defensive. Dwayne Wade was never first team all defensive, but he was second team all defensive 3 times. You can imagine James Harden has never been close to that list of being all defensive. That ain't what he do.
Played defense 3 times.
That ain't what he do. Dwayne Wade had a grand total of 0 league MVPs. James Harden had 1. Pat Bev ain't that crazy, man. When I first heard it, I was like, yo, give him your analysis. Like Tiger Woods, man. Put that man on. Let's test him. I don't know if he's on drugs
except
completely.
I don't know if you saw
He's
Paul
in the
Pierce
ball.
when he started going through that little thing about who would he take, him or this person, and Paul Pierce picked himself every time. That was blasphemy. That was crazy.
You can't say
So,
blasphemy, bro.
you can't, but podcast blasphemous. But at the end of the day, the GOAT conversations and anything or like better, it's like, who do you like more? Who would you take more? Who would you? That's the conversation that we need to start doing. We need to stop doing saying this guy was better than this guy, this guy. Who would you take? Who do you prefer? Is chocolate ice cream better than vanilla to some people? You know what I'm saying? But like, you can't prove that chocolate tastes better than vanilla. There's no gauge
I like
that
what you
you
did
can.
there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's not ridiculous to say that about
On the
those
heels
things.
of that, I feel like we should do the LeBron MJ thing, but I'm gonna refrain because I like the way you can't prove it,
We
but I
can't
like
prove
what you
it.
said there.
It just depends on the statistics. We talked about championships today when we were doing the pregame, and I was just like that conversation. Championships only matter,
I
and they
didn't.
only
And notice I didn't add it for James Harden and Dwayne Wade
because it
because
didn't work. It didn't fit. But like at the
it
end of
was
the day,
lopsided. It was so lopsided. Yeah,
it only matters when you compare Jordan to LeBron. And
because D Wade got 3 of them things, baby,
there's
in
no
Miami.
other conversation when it comes to people who's better, whatever, where championships come involved. None except that one because it's the one where it's open and shut.
Right.
Everything else, Super Bowls, doesn't matter. Nothing matters about whether you're a better player, especially when you're not talking about the GOAT. You're talking about people who are further on the list. You can add it. Now I'm laughing because I'm one of those Harden will never win a championship type guys, and so
At this point, it'd be hard.
I just think
Meanwhile, D Wade got 3 of them things: 06, 2012, 2013. Now I'm talking about Wade County.
yeah, he did it with multiple different teams too. That means a lot to me, but that means meaningless to everyone else. It's
No,
meaningless.
just you mean rosters, different teams, different rosters.
Yeah, totally different rosters. I
All
don't know
right,
if
all
anyone,
right,
if
all right.
anyone is anyone Haslam was Haslam on both.
Haslam was on all of them.
Yeah, so he was
Don't play with
all.
Haslam
Yeah,
like that, man.
yeah. So I'll say, but there's not very many difference makers that were probably on that Shaq team that were
Yeah.
on his team. So anyway, long story short, uh, he's not high, but I disagree. I like way better.
I'm glad you brought up Haslam, man, because we started this show talking about real friends. And Dwayne Wade County went to bat for Haslam to keep him there. Haslam was there for all 3 championships. So full circle moment. We started this show and talked about Jaden Ivey being the spark behind most of the social / sports commentary this week. And I want to end there because beyond just a weekly storyline of sports entertainment, this is a young man who has parents, a mom and a dad. He has a little brother. I got to meet his little brother at the national championship prep series. Plays for a program that's in that prep series. And when we cancel someone and use them as the poster child for being homophobic, we got to remember that it impacts other people. Now, in that same vein, his comments offered publicly impact people, can be taken out of context, could be used by some extremists to do harm to people. So words have meaning and have power behind them. But at 24 years old, let's make sure that we give him just enough grace to learn from whatever mistakes you might think he made, but also understand that there are other people involved. And just among friends, because both mom and dad are friends of mine, I offer that commentary. Anything you want to go home with, Big Flo? Shoot.
No, man, just enjoy your Easter. Watch some good basketball. Be nice to your dad, man. Everybody who comes home for Easter this weekend, spend some time with your dad. Fly my daughter home today, and I probably won't see her till I drop her off at the airport on Sunday. And my feelings are already hurt. so,
You know for a fact she got no time for you.
so I'll tell you
On
guys a little
behalf of the
story.
moms, he meant be nice to your parents. He
Your
meant
dad's
mom in there too.
dad. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story about my baby girl, and just tell you how funny it is, how manipulated you get by daughters. And that's why everyone needs a daughter just so they can stay sharp. My daughter calls up. She says she wants to come home. She wants to see us. My wife and I look at tickets. We decide right away it's too expensive, and we say no. And then we start thinking about it. I said, man, my child is asking to come home. She said, no one's gonna be on campus. I'm gonna be the only one here. I want to come home. I'm homesick. You know all that bullshit, right? And so I was like, man, I told my wife, let's do this. Let's go ahead and fly her home because everybody's going to be gone.
You breaking up a little bit.
I'm
Either
back.
that's
I'm
you
back.
or me.
I'm back. That's me, I guess.
All right.
Okay, so she's going to be on campus by herself eating dining hall food. Even if the dining hall is open, she's probably going to Grubhub and had to have Chick-fil-A. We can't do that to baby girl. She wants to come home. Nobody's going to be on campus. My wife says to her, so you're going to come back. You're going to go to the airport. And how are you going to get to the airport? Oh, no problem. One of the girls who's not going home will just drop me off.
Did you? I ain't no mathematician or nothing like that. But 2 plus 2 don't equal 4 then.
The same text. You can still see the text. The best thing is this isn't even on the phone. This is on text. You can still see the text that you wrote that nobody's going to be on campus. But it's no big deal.
But somebody's going to be there to drop you.
Drive me. No big deal. And then I said to my daughter, I said, listen, don't you have me fly you home and I don't see you. She's like, no, you're going to see me. So-and-so is picking me up from the airport. I said, fuck, we're not even going to see you when you first get here.
I thought that was the one time I had on the ride back from the airport.
At least I can scoop you on the way. We can catch up, get a hug. Yeah. So-and-so is going to pick me up. But don't worry, we'll stop by the house.
Yeah, geez. Yeah. Hey, well, man, enjoy the 30 seconds with your daughter, brother. That's the other side of it. There's some young person out there in Generation Z that's about to go live or about to stream that would say, man, just enjoy the 30 seconds that she give you and shut up, Dad. That's what this is.
Man. If you can't get manipulated by your daughter, who can you be manipulated by?
Shout out to her, man. She had a long semester and volleyball and all of that, man. You were young too at one point. You wasn't one.
But I never called my parents for a flight home because I lived in driving.
I will say this, man. They do get out of the nest and they become adults, and so I leave it there. This Just Among Friends episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk was inspired by an incident that was a storyline in sports and entertainment, but made meaningful by the fact that I happen to be friends with both parents and know that they've got to be dealing with this, and gut-wrenching to hear everyone call him crazy, everyone cancel him, know that, what was the song? They wasn't with you shooting in the gym. They've seen that young man in the gym fighting for his dream forever. So to see it so quickly cast away is he doesn't deserve anything anymore. Has to be. Yeah.
Poor got to be painful. Bryant is the butt of that joke.
Yeah. But this is the Just Among Friends episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. The Ball Hog Sports Talk is where you take the managerial decisions of big finance and they intersect directly with the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you had to describe it in a pop culture way, it would be where show me the money meets just give me the damn ball. My heart goes out to everyone involved. Those who were offended by what Jaden Ivey said, those who embraced it as evangelists, who want more platforms to which they can evangelize, but most importantly to his family is impacted by this story. And I pray even more for the young man that we give him the grace, the opportunity, the platform to both embrace his religion and his faith, but also understand and be understanding of those around him. It's a tough world, man. It's a tough balance. With that, anything else? Big Flow Show?
Nah.
Judge. You had the Big Flow Show from the Middle Coast. I'm your boy, B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South, aka Mr. Excessive Celebration, aka Professor Brown, aka Breezy, aka Councilman Brown, aka former Councilman Brown, aka Coach Bobby, aka the man who gets to be on the screen with the Big Flow Show, and someone who is forever indebted with gratitude for those of you who keep supporting us. So we'll be back soon. Make sure you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. Enjoy Holy Week as it subside, or the end of Holy Week with Easter. Remember the reason for the season. Am I allowed to say that? I won't get canceled for that.
I don't think so. Everyone likes the Easter Bunny. Eat you some chocolate. Hey, all I gotta say is a complete man only needs one nickname. We don't need 7 aliases to go by.
Complete.
That's what I'm saying. I'm complete.
I'm complete.
Big Flow completes me. That's we straight.
I feel like that's bias against people with multiple nicknames, man. So we're gonna cancel you.
It froze up because nobody wants to hear it. Or maybe it just froze for me.
Oh, you good, man. I see you. That's the look I like. You look silent, but I can still hear you.
That's prepaid internet at its finest. Prepaid internet at its finest.
Happy weekend with your families, man. Enjoy your time with your daughter, Big Flow. And with that, with no further ado, y'all, we out of here, y'all. We out. Peace.
Peace.